Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Dawryn Nyiramugisha, and this is Dialogues with Jagero. So this is the truth. We have always had sex. It is because of sex that we are here on earth. But a lot of people fear the issue of sex. As a matter of fact, I have been very, fearful talking about it because I was raised up in church. And church has a lot going on in terms of what you talk about and what you don't talk about. We see things, but we don't talk about them. And I think it is important for us to talk about the things that sometimes we love the most. And that is the touch, the sex, the orgasm, the hard-ons. And so as I grow old, I am over 40 now, I want to be talking about these things so that when people ask me later, why didn't you talk about these things? I can gladly say that, go to my podcast and you'll see them. So we are doing a podcast, a series podcast today with a lady that I have come to love so much because of her knowledge, because of her depth. I had an interview with her and it broke the internet. And I've brought her again, not just to talk about one thing, but talk about a lot more. Her name is Dawryn. How are you doing?
I'm excited.
I want to say thank you very much for coming for the first, for my first episode with you. It was amazing.
I liked it myself.
What did you think about it?
I loved it. I loved your interaction. I love interactive people. Then I loved the feedback. I loved the comments. I loved the love. I loved the receivership. I loved the want. I loved that it was well received. That was quite amazing. It's not easy to be wanted, accepted, and received. When I first came to Kenya, I was very worried. I was like, would they love me? Would they want me? Would they let me stay with them? Would the ladies accept me? That was a fear as I came. And when I got here, it was hugely amazing how I was received, but mostly loved. I felt well received here, I felt loved here, and I've wanted to stay here for a very long time because of the way I have felt received. And so when we did that first podcast, that first episode, I saw the receivership as well, and I'm like, this is amazing. So I'm loved here and received here, and that goes deep for me. Yeah.
It was a lot of back and forth, and I was introduced by a lady called Geraldine to you, and she said to me one day that you must have Dawryn on your podcast. Last episode, you talked about people tending towards porn, which, as you said, and rightly so, that for ladies it appears like rape. It sounds like torture and subjugation and things like that. I think it could be worse with men because as a young man, I was never taught about sex. I was telling you the story of me having a very, a hard-on by looking at a lady's bums. I was telling you that it was in the village. I was brought up in the village.
Yeah.
Probably, children of today could watch it on TV and get a little bit of this and that. But for us that, were raised in the village, there was nowhere to learn from. My mother was a housewife. Yes, she was a housewife. Illiterate. My father was a drunk. Very addicted to alcohol.
Outside.
And so my mother was always racing. Racing towards the next meal. How do I get the next meal? And I think it was the last thing in her mind to talk with her son about what is going on in his body. My father, I imagine, was just like me. He was never taught by anybody anything, And so I am telling you this particular scene of me looking at a young lady, a teenage girl with very beautiful bums. And I got, I lusted after her.
And how old were you?
I was in class 7.
Yeah.
That is 1996.
Yeah.
You know?
Age?
Maybe 13, 12.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Is that a good time for somebody to have a good hard-on?
It's a good time, and it's a very good time for confusion. It's the time we lose the boys. It's the stage, when we lose the boy child when it comes to sexual desire, pleasure, and gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, I see these beautiful bums.
Yeah.
You know, I get this hard-on, and you know when you. If you're having an erection, there is the one that escapes, that is a bit clear.
Yeah.
And then they
Tell us more. And then there's the one that is thick and a lot, and so you got a bit of a secretion.
Yeah, and you know, it was confusing what happening to my body, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was having an erection.
All you've done is look at a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
And then her bums have done something to your body.
Yes, and her boobs.
Yeah, and then you have an erection and you don't know what to do with it.
I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Then no one has told you what to do after that.
No one. I didn't even know there was something called masturbation then.
Yeah.
So,
But did you know about erections? Spontaneous erection?
No, you know, you wake up in the morning and there is stiffness.
Yeah.
Gosh, why was I so much in the dark? You know? But then, the reason why I'm telling you this story is because there are so many people who are in the dark as adults.
Oh, that's so bad.
I watched porn once and it was very bad. I don't want to remember that day that I watched porn in a cyber cafe.
Yeah. So the volume was on and everybody else is in the cafe.
I could stand to go and pay the bill. How do you go?
I know.
The lady at the
And she knows what you've been up to.
Probably not. But it was, if I stood there at the time, it would be obvious what I was doing. You know. So anyway, I want to go back to you.
Yeah.
We are going to be in this episode. This series is going to be called Pleasure Principle.
Okay.
And it's going to be about 8 episodes.
Exciting.
You know?
Yeah.
And the first question, I want people to know a little bit about you. You can suppress the information that you want to keep private, but talk to me about you growing up and then going to school. Not growing up. Why are you squinting when I talk about you growing up? Is it the ones that you don't want?
No, it's too much information, because by the time I tell you, from growing up until now.
Okay. So now we have a book. we are gonna jump it a little bit.
Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit. Give us a little bit social proof.
Background. Okay.
You know, where did you learn
sexuality,
sensuality?
Yeah.
Where did you learn about all
what was
this?
the inspiration?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I went to Makerere University. I studied literature and film. So I went on to work on radio and briefly on TV in Uganda for 7 years. But away from that, socially, I'm a very curious person. I love reading. I love personal growth and personal awareness. I started doing that way earlier on. There's a story to that, but by the time I was about 23, I loved to just be aware about myself, you know, mentally and all. So at 24, I got dumped. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
And who gets to dump me? You know, I'm thinking, why has he left me? Could it be something about me? And in Uganda, you'd rather be dumped for anything else but for bad sex.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I was like, I need to know.
Where did they expect a 24-year-old to be doing a good riding?
But you see, by 24, you actually have performance anxiety. Because you are expected to be a pro, you're expected to have learnt, even when you don't know where you could have gotten that information. And I find that's one of the hindrances most Ugandan women have as well. The expectation that they should be good, so they're not allowed to have flaws, sexual flaws. They're not allowed. When I go to Uganda to talk about this, I don't get as many coming through, but I'll get them privately, you know, because they can't come out publicly. I love working here. Because Kenyan women have embraced the fact that if they didn't teach me, I can learn, right? And so when you have an event or when you put out something, they come, they're unashamed, they are yearning, they are thirsty for information, and I love them for that. And while when you go to Uganda or to Rwanda, because of that myth that they should be knowing, they also experience hormonal imbalances. They also experience cultural issues. They experience political changes, of course, the weather and everything else, but now we can't come out. So that expectation, you want to be sure that by the time you make it to marriage, you're actually as good as they expect you to be. Now I get dumped at 24. And I get curious. When I got curious, lucky for me, I really wanted to seek the advice from a therapist. So I looked for sex therapists.
At 24?
Yes. I wanted her to just examine me and tell me, because men lie. All the two boyfriends I'd had so far, they tell you you're good, they tell you amazing, you want to hear it, you know, do you orgasm? And then we used to, I hold events called desire and desirability, because I used to feel like my desirability was dependent on a man. If a man said you're beautiful, I took it. If a man said, oh, you orgasm, I felt you orgasm, I took that. I always waited to hear them say, and it was wrong. I need to be able to know that I've orgasmed. I don't want you to ask me, babe, have you come? I want to tell you I came multiple times. You know, I want to own my desirability, right? And it came from that moment. I used to think because men don't tell us the truth, so there's no telling, right? And now I need to go and find out. So I went to a therapist. And I told her, I want to know if I orgasm or if I don't orgasm. I want to know if my sex is good or if it's not good. And she told me, do you have a problem? I said, I don't know if I have a problem. I just want you to examine me and find out if I have a problem, because my boyfriend has left me and I'm not worried about where he's gone. I just want to ensure the next one doesn't get to live. So she took me.
She wanted to keep them.
I wanted to keep them. I wanted to be irresistible. We have this want to be irresistible. I don't want to be left. I want to be the one to live. Right?
Really?
Oh yeah, I never want to be left. I want to be the one to live. And even when I leave, I need you to keep calling me. I need you to keep wanting me. I need you to keep desire. I need you to tell me I'm unforgettable. Right? That's the desire that we have. So the magnetism, the irresistibility, all the women, even when I get them, how do I keep a man? How do I stay irresistible? How can I have that sexual magnetism in the relationship? So we have that. We have that want to use our feminine energy to keep relationships, right? And so I wanted to know why I'm not like that. Because if you're dumped, then you're not irresistible. That's what it meant for me then. And she took me through something.
It's very funny what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because the other day I was talking to a Ugandan friend of mine.
Yeah.
And she was so mad that the guy left. And she kept saying, his laws. And I'm like, why do you keep saying his laws?
Yeah. No, I like that. She has confidence. Like, you will think of me. I like that. I like it when he leaves and she's like, yeah, that's your loss. You'll never find one like me. I wish I felt like that. For me, I felt like, why can't I keep? I don't want to get another and lose them. I want to be able to keep. I want to be the one that decides that it's done. Right? So it's nice when I meet women who say, oh, he's gone. He's lost. That's good attitude. They don't feel unworthy. Because when I ask myself that question, I must have felt unworthy of a good relationship, of keeping a man, or because we believed if I've given a man my heart, where would he go? Why would he leave me? We didn't know these are the factors. Now I know better, right? So I go to this therapist and she asks me to describe the feeling of an orgasm. And I answered. I remember I told her, for me, an orgasm is when I scream. So when I scream, I've orgasmed. She told me, just give me 5 ways in which you know you have felt an orgasm. I said, I scream, my toes curl, I feel like my hair is standing, but mostly I scream. And so she told me, how many times do you do that? I said, once. And she told me, so how many times? She asked me, how many times do you think a woman gets to orgasm? I said, once. From where? I said, from the clitoris. That's it. She took me through 7 types of orgasms a woman can experience. 7 erotic places a woman can orgasm from. And I was mind blown. I didn't want to leave her office.
There are 7?
Yeah. I was mind blown. I kept on going. I remember I put off a whole year to create sexual self-awareness. I was now excited. Like, what? I didn't know this. First of all, I realized in so much detail that I wasn't orgasming at all in those relationships, because what she later described to me, I would say I wasn't orgasming. What I called squatting was just vaginal fluids coming out of me. I didn't even know where. No, because the fluids come from the vulva. That's not squatting. Squatting is supposed to come from the urethra. I didn't know. I didn't even know there was a hole below the clitoris. I didn't know my vagina. In as much as I'd been taught, oh, these are the lips, because the only thing you'll be taught is the labia minora, because those you will need to be able to understand them, because the practice of pulling them. Then you'll be shown where the vulva is, right? And then I learned that the vagina and the vulva are very different. The clitoris is not taught as part of the vagina, right? So I learned what I thought my sisters didn't know. I learned what I thought my friends didn't know. I learned that majority of us actually fake orgasms. We've been taught to just perform for the man, to be able to understand when he's about to come and fake it and work our bodies out. And it was bad. I wanted to just unlearn so many things so I can learn the proper things. And when she took me through my therapy sessions, I wanted to learn more. So I became curious. And I enrolled for online courses to learn sexology. Lucky for me, I was a nutritionist. I did nutrition when I was also at university, just out of fun. And then the nutrition part is what helped me to understand I want to do holistic sexology. Because when I learned about sex and hormones, I realized that what we eat and how we think gets to affect our hormones. And so that gets to affect our sexual pleasure, right? So I wanted to combine that, yeah. And then, of course, with the literature and the psychology, you become, one holistic bundle of a sexologist. So I went on to study. I remember doing 3 courses, and I'm doing this all for pleasure. Because then I was on radio, and I didn't think I'd use it, but I was like, there's no, I'm going to go into marriage, and my sex is bad. It's going to be the best thing about my relationship. And just like I knew it would happen, the partner that I got after my 1 year of sexual awareness, we stayed together for 10 years. Yeah.
Amazing. So now we have got social proof of where all this oozing knowledge is coming from.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something that piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Talking about learning all these things, like a woman who has known a lot about herself,
Yeah.
She can become a bedroom bully, right?
No, not really.
Oh, in a good way.
Well, maybe in a good way, but also not in a good way, because men don't like to be suffocated. Yeah, they like the aggressiveness. Sometimes the animal instinct comes in, and then they want that girl who's ready and nigh and good to have, but also they don't like domination, so you have to know your boundaries.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, men like to feel like, in as much as you can do a bit of that, not too much of it. Right?
Yeah.
So I think the aggression, if I may understand you mean you may be a bully, because there's a time when we're discussing with ladies and we're wondering why men lose sexual attraction. How come I'm married to my man? It's been 5 years, and honestly, he doesn't initiate sex anymore. It's been 1 month. I have that a lot now with most married women. Dawryn, I'm staying with a man who doesn't touch me. It's been 9 months now. And you're thinking, I don't know, men like...
Could they be meaning?
By touching it, he doesn't initiate sex. Women are still waiting for men to be the ones to initiate sex alone. But also that, because women feel desired when a man, the traditional sense of it, if a man touches me, then he desires me, and then we're good to go. Because women, when we look at the pleasure gap, most women thought or felt if they initiated sex, they would be considered slutty by their husbands.
Yeah.
So the traditionally married women still wait for their men to initiate sex. But guess what? It gets boring for the man. It's too much work. It's exhaustive when he has to be the one to initiate sex all the time, And so he wants a certain form of autonomy. So the initiation bit gets off. But when we're looking at some of the reasons why these men have lost attraction, we found that communication is one of the reasons, and the way women communicate to these men. We have different personalities. There's some women who will tell you the truth as it is. There's those who know how to use euphemism. There are those who know how to wait it out. So there are women who cannot wait. You know, like they can't even breathe. They speak. You touch them badly, they tell you away. You know, then there are those who will just hold it up a bit, wait for the moment to end, find a good moment and tell you, I don't like this and this and that. Yeah. So we found that our communication, and when it happens, puts men off. So let's take one step back and talk about, have you figured out, so we are going to be talking about sexual pleasure. Could you background a little bit on what it is, you know, and why it is important, right? And then we will go into communication. But first of all, I want to ask you, because you had an overview of what you want to tell the world, because I believe this is going to the world. What when this is all done, what do you want them to go home with? That's a very good question. Thank you. Because that's one of my biggest, my driving force is sensual sovereignty. My driving force is for people to own their pleasure, own your desires, know them, understand how they feel, give them the right language, learn the language of expressing them. So own your sovereignty. Stop walking around based on what media thinks is good sex. Stop suppressing your urges and your desires, thinking that they are sinful or they are wrong, right? Stop probably taking them into the wrong channels. A man who is married will not express his wildest urges to his wife because he's still confined under certain values and beliefs. So for me, the takeaway should be sensual sovereignty. Yeah. And the underlying, theme for me for all my work is own your pleasure. Take back your power, own your pleasure. Then you decide. You have agency. Like I always mention, you decide. So then you can be able to consent. You can be able to express. You can be able to, to express gratification or to express the lack of gratification. You can be able to say, I need. You can be able to say, I desire you. You can be able to, to not feel guilty to tell your man how much more you want, or for you to hear a man tell you how much more he thinks about you and he wants you.
I think one of the things that is very difficult for us to hope over as Africans or as Kenyans, or probably as Ugandans, South Africans, and whoever will be watching this series, is that how do you bring together these things? I'm looking for the word which I can find. For example, the church is telling you this, your religion is telling you one thing, and you're feeling another thing, and probably your husband is telling you the other thing, that okay, what are you suggesting is a bit slutty, and is wondering, why did you learn all these things again that you want to practice on me? So how do you gosh, I can't find this word. Can you find it for me?
I think there's no word, but you're trying to bring the challenge and the problem.
Yes.
Because we are attached to different aspects of life.
Yes.
We are religious people or spiritual people. We have values. We have grown up with certain values. We still believe certain things, and until we have the right information, those things are true and right for us. We come from certain cultures where certain things shape our way of thinking and therefore appreciation of sex or pleasure. So then how to break the mold is the question.
Yes, that's the word.
Great. It starts
with... How to bring harmony.
Yes.
To what your body is feeling.
Yeah.
Your fantasies.
Yeah.
What the Bible is telling you, what culture is telling, what the community and the society is telling you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So first you have to feel free within yourself. You have to give yourself freedom. Without freedom, you're still going to be held. You have to feel free, then now you create awareness. First learn before you can want to rebel. First understand, if you understand church did this and this was the purpose. Maybe church was protecting me at a time when I didn't understand how to use ABCD. Why did church bring this about? Because church is a social arm. We have, church manages societal, aspects and all that. Church gives us ideologies to go by. So church governs. We cannot underestimate that. So how much hold church has on you is up to you. Because then church for me is an ideological place, right? Spirituality is very different. So how much freedom you get is based on you. Dawryn can't give you freedom. She will only give you information. Your wife won't give you freedom. She will only express her desires. So what we need to give people is, in as much as I know you don't like kink, I'd love to tell you my fantasies. So give me the openness, listen, validate my desires, and tell me, in as much as you say that, I'm not sure I will enjoy it. So let's take it step by step and I see how it goes. And then we give each other the freedom. If you try it and I don't like it, I'll say, I don't like it yet. It's not pleasure for me. It doesn't give me any aspect of gratification. I know I will allow you to do that, but it doesn't give me the same that it gives you, right? The breaking of the mold is just now the process. You admit that I don't know this. I'm looking at it in the concept of marriage or partnership. You have your partner and your partner doesn't understand some of your desires, and you want to communicate your urges, your wild urges, because pleasure includes the capacity to be able to respond to the stimuli of an urge, right? So if I have that urge, like you said, there's these things I feel, because feeling is important for me. I feel. So we can't take away the fact that the emotion is there, the desire is there. Desire is an emotion, right? I feel. So what we do with that is then now what comes in the concept of a partnership or a solo relationship. So now if I have a partner and I want to communicate an urge, a fantasy, a desire that probably he's never known about me, I need to give myself that freedom. But what I would need from my partner is him to be able to be receptive and hear me out and validate my feelings, and then be open to trying out, but also be comfortable to tell me I don't like it. I should be able to be comfortable in knowing I could have some urges that my partner doesn't have, right? But then how do we break away? You know, that's not Christian-like. I remember there's times when we were talking about doggy and people are like, I also saw in the podcast and people are like, no, you can't, I can't give a blowjob to somebody and all that. I'm like, oh my goodness. We have molds to break, you know.
Yeah.
We just need to educate people, because then without information, that's when people still have the, no, it's not good, it's not good. We have the automatic negative thoughts that just drive us into fear.
Yeah. What do you think is going on through the mind of somebody who is saying that I don't want to give a blowjob to my boyfriend? Because I also saw those comments.
Yeah, it's mostly on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what's going on, one, the fear of the fact they won't do it right. That's what I find in bridal showers. Because men love oral sex so much, women are scared they may not know how to give it. Then women don't know how to take rejection. Right?
Yeah.
So when a man says, no, I don't like it when you fondle my balls, she takes it that he's rejected her. She doesn't understand he's giving information for her to keep trying until it feels right.
About those balls, by the way, it's true.
Yeah.
Balls is, a lot of people have seen it in porn, but I don't think a lot of men and my friends are not. Balls, stay away from them. They are not very.
Are you asking us to stay away from them, or is it that you want us to do them differently?
I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing.
So how are they done that you don't like? What is it that you don't like? Is it that you don't?
You know, the pressure.
Okay, you don't like pressure on them.
The pressure on them, especially when you're having a hard on.
Okay.
You know, balls are very overly sensitive. You know, and basically, I think women just don't know how to handle those too.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
You know, when they know that when the phallus is stiff, it should not be, that way very fast. You know, it's got a lot of veins.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's very true. Sometimes we don't know how to handle the different parts because we've not understood, like you said, we need to really look at both the female anatomy and the male anatomy, because I also understand that women don't understand their anatomy properly.
Yeah.
You know, because if you don't understand your anatomy, if you don't understand your anatomy and I don't get feedback from you, because also women complain men don't give feedback.
Yeah.
So I'm down there doing work and I'm not understanding whether what I'm doing is right. So if you don't give me feedback, I will worry I'm hurting you. Because then tomorrow if you refuse, I'm not sure what did I do wrong. It could be a small thing. So men need to be able to learn how to give feedback. Whether the woman, because
kind of feedback.
The feedback of I like that.
Oh, really?
Yes, we like it because you like it when we give you that feedback. When you go down on us, when you're giving us oral sex, we tell you how we feel, or we should tell you how we feel. I'd like to be able to tell you if the way you're touching my clitoris feels right. If I want you to stay a little bit longer. If I want to glide a little bit below. If I wanted to use the fingers, your tongue.
A bit below.
Yeah, like I
What
need.
does that mean?
Because you could be touching a part and then there's a part that is calling for more of your touch. So if I give you
complicated, it's like engineering.
No, it's not.
It's like
but you see, it's not your body, it's my body. I keep saying, I keep telling people, if you don't give people information, it's like entering your house and I don't know where the lavatories are. So I can't just walk like a bat around your house.
Bathrooms do you think a woman's vagina has?
They are multiple.
Now, I hope that you're enjoying this program. Over the last 15 years, I have been working online for clients in America, in Europe, and all over the world. And that is why it pains me a lot when I see a lot of African brothers and sisters saying that they do not have a job. Now, this is the problem. A lot of people are trying to look for a job in 2024 in their own town, in their own country, in their local area. Now, the truth is, there are no jobs in Africa, at least not so many jobs. The good news is that we have internet these days. We have a tablet, we have a computer, we have a phone, and that means that we can do a lot of jobs, and those jobs are online. That is why over the last 4 years I've been writing a book that is called Digital Goldmine. It is a book that explains to you how you can earn money online. The 18 hustles that I've chosen are basically for Africans. Okay, because what happens when you are doing online jobs is that payment is usually a problem. So these 18 side hustles that I have put together in this book, you can be paid very well and very conveniently. Okay, so the book is only 1,000 Kenya shillings. That is about $10. You can buy it in Kenya using pay bill number. You can buy it online from anywhere in the world using a credit or a debit card. All the information about this book is in the description below. Just need to go to the description, click on the link, and you can buy this book. And if you have a brother, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a friend who is sitting at home and watching Netflix, please do buy this book for them. If you are the one sitting at home and watching Netflix and have nothing to do, please buy this book and your life is gonna change forever. Because I have been doing this online and I've been traveling and I've been enjoying myself and having a lot of fun. So thank you very much, and now back to programming.
She's a treasure house.
Yeah?
Yeah. Every other time you just unlock a bedroom.
Like there's a way into the tunnel that I didn't know about.
Oh my goodness.
5 years down the line.
Keep going.
You know?
Keep
why
going.
is this dark place?
Uh-huh.
You know?
Will I find butts there? Will I find chocolates there?
Are there bats?
There's some butts in but they might need you to just alchemize them into something else.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like as men we need to learn a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think we are learning?
I'm yet to get that feedback, because there's a space when I was talking to Kenyan women and we were learning a lot about how to take care of a man, but also how to receive pleasure. When I went through my Senga classes, when my friends were getting married, some of my friends got married early, really. We were taught how to pleasure a man. We're given all the tools, even how to dress, how to be warm, and the whole ideology was how to make a man
warm.
Like, of course, you're taught how to be warm. In Uganda, we are told about the cold uterus and a cold vagina.
A cold uterus and a cold vagina.
Yes, and how to make sure that.
Interesting. What is that?
Well, you could go into a woman and then she feels cold. There's so many reasons why women can be cold, or why.
Like cold? She doesn't like it?
No, like you could go inside a woman and she's cold. Like you're cold. Yes, you can feel she's cold. She's not as warm as men want them to be.
Yeah.
Not cold reception, but cold feeling. Like she may feel cold. So we are told about that.
There's a generation of heat down there when things start to happen.
This generation of heat, and some women don't get that generated. You know, like you've seen women who don't wear socks. If women step on cold floors a lot, if the feet are cold, the uterus is going to be cold. But I tell you for a fact, there's some women who experience thyroid disorder, so their hands and their feet are always cold. That means their uteruses will be cold as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some women are always feeling very cold even when, you know, it's hot. I find also mostly in countries where there's more cold temperatures, women experience cold uteruses. Okay? So I was taking you to a place where we are taught so much about pleasuring the man.
Where does it start? There's a time that my wife talked to me about, she gave me a form to fill. It's a long list. I think there were a group of women and think they went somewhere, maybe to you, I would know. And then they came up with this form online of where you're filling a whole lot of stuff.
Like what?
What are your kinks? There are just a lot of American questions.
But the ones that piqued her fancy, that she wanted you to answer.
No, she wanted me to answer the whole form.
All of them. So which ones were strange to you?
So this is what it is. So they give you a form. They first of all tie you together.
Okay.
So you have filled the form, and then now you send it to your lover.
Okay.
To fill it. And then they will match what you both like.
Okay.
And probably start doing them. I declined. I declined to do it.
Okay.
I refused to do it.
Oh, why?
They were too personal.
But I thought that was between you and your wife.
But there was a third party looking at the form and trying to marry us.
And you'd have a problem with that?
At the time.
Okay, and now?
I'll probably think about it now.
Okay.
She was not happy that I declined to fill the form.
Yeah.
Because I think there were things that she wanted to know about.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, women are more hungrier for information than us men. So I think there were a lot of conversations, probably something that she read, and now she was like, let me do this with my husband so that we can probably be speaking with one voice in as far as bedroom matters are concerned.
Yeah.
But I found it a little spooky.
Okay.
You know, and I read through it.
Yeah.
There are questions there that I wanted to answer.
But then?
I think, you know, women are very difficult to trust.
Let me just look at your insecurities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you are blaming and labeling.
Yeah.
Before you can tell us your insecurities, why are you labeling women for being difficult before we can know what you were afraid of divulging?
You
know, I have this.
I feel like I was going to be judged.
Exactly, I like that. You need to bring it out, yeah? Because you see, you have a church background, and I know where you're going.
Yeah.
You have a church background, and church men have a saint sinner syndrome when they are looking at their wives. Saint sinner.
Saint sinner syndrome. Ooh, that's an amazing phrase. I've never heard of it. What does it mean?
When they're looking, their mindset when it comes to their wives is, she's my saint. I shall only do the needing, because when we're looking at the pleasure principle, it's needing, wanting, and having urges. It's the understanding that we have wild animalistic urges, but we have sexual wants and we have sexual needs. So in marriage, Christian marriages, I find they only allow themselves to express the wants and the needs. So the urges are animalistic, and those are for the sinners, for the sluts, for the girls at the club, for the ones I'll find at the well, for the ones I don't care losing. Yes. So that's the saint sinner syndrome. When there's a break of communication in marriages, is because the fear of judgment is coming from actually your other unconscious values that you've not yet broken. It has nothing to do with her, because you see already she has brought something which is controversial. And you want to look at her as a Christian.
I thought it was really controversial.
Exactly. So she's trying to open you up, to open the couple communication up. But you're still held by that syndrome. You want to discuss that with Dawryn, but you don't want to discuss that with your wife.
Listen. that is a half truth. Now, that is a half truth. Because I feel like she was also stuck on how to approach the conversation because also she did not tell me the whole truth about the agenda with this. Probably I did not get a full scale communication about what the agenda of this whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think our communication broke there.
Okay.
But also I also think like I was coming from because I've got a tech background, and probably the reason why I was having a problem with this because of data and privacy.
Okay.
So one part of me was like, I know this. I was reading something very interesting at the New York Times the other day, actually yesterday, when I was researching on this series.
Oh, you did research?
I did research.
Amazing.
Yeah, on this series. And I came to realize that they have actually, last week but one, they introduced a dildo, a vibrator.
Yeah.
That as you use it, it collects data on your pressure point.
Yeah.
You know? And the vibrator will actually know that you're actually having an orgasm.
Or not. Or faking it.
Faking it.
Finally, we can be caught.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And then I read another article that was saying that so these guys made a vibrator that was collecting data, and you could download the app, and every time you have sex you use the vibrator, you can actually see what happened to your body, your heart rate, everything.
Yeah.
And the good thing about this is that they were very open with it.
Yeah.
But then there's another company that did the same but did not tell people. A Canadian company.
Yeah.
That was so part of the reason why I was very pessimistic about this was that this is something that is online, collecting all my data.
Oh, it wasn't printed out?
No.
Oh, I hear.
It was a link.
Oh, yeah.
That you send, and you have to fill everything.
Yeah.
And then now it sends the data to your lover.
Oh, okay.
Telling you that, this is where you guys, this is what's going to give you the fire.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's probably the reason why I was a bit worried about it. But I can't lie. I was also not comfortable with those questions.
Yes.
And I did not want to reveal to my wife my kinks and fantasies.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
So that I thought,
I know.
What is she gonna do with this information?
I know. Am I ready for it?
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I don't think I'm still ready for it.
Oh, you're not yet ready for it?
I don't.
Vibrant as you are. Libra and open-minded as you sound.
It's a bit too much, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
And probably I could do it. I want to do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So talk to me about conversation.
I like
communication,
that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the very small words you've used. I could, I may, I want to, maybe. That already is an open angle for me.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you what happened there. You were having a very confident woman come to start sexual conversations, because one of the problems or challenges I experience with the couples that I deal with is that they don't have communication around sex. Right? There's the fear of mystery. If we talk too much about it, it will lose the mystery element. But then we are not talking about it. So when you don't talk about it, there's no consent. We still have issues of understanding our sexual values. There's such a thing. We still have issues of having boundaries around our desires, urges, wants, and how we make love. We will still continue to have because guess what, Jagero? We are dynamic people. We grow. Who you were in your 20s is very different from who you become in your 30s. Your sexual needs and wants in your 40s are completely different. At 50, it turns around. So if you don't have a ritual of talking about sex with your partner, you're going to be lost. She's only going to be stuck with the information you first provided when you guys were dating. And any change in that information scares. any person. The information you have about her and how she looks at sex was getting shifted, and you're wondering, can I handle? Is she giving me something I can handle? Because men forever want to always feel, like they can handle. They feel their status is around whether they can satisfy a woman or not. So when we are giving information to men and they reject it, so much about, I want to take it in my bits so that I come like the king. You can't come like the king over me, right? But then what she was trying to do is she was trying to open up the space, the talking space that most men kill. You're not the only one. Whenever I have sessions with women, guess what they tell me? My husband, I can't tell him that. I want that, but I can't discuss it. First, he just puts you off. He's not open to it. He starts asking, so where are these places you're going to these days?
Yes.
Yeah, I just recently, we had a salad social, and one of the ladies is telling me,
salad social.
We socialize over salad.
This is what they don't tell me what they are. What's a salad social? Salad
social. Now these days we socialize over salads. We just get together. I think salads are essential. Like the crunchiness, the colors, the vibrancy, the sourness, the sweetness, the bitterness.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so we just socialize and talk about different things when we're eating salads and cooking salads. But one of the ladies, and then we like to dress up because at our age we have
the pictures.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So then when one of the ladies told me,
I'm nilotic. Nilots and women.
You have finished the problem.
The problem with women.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
You desire women a lot?
Yeah, nilots want to have more than one.
Oh, okay. And are you allowed to?
Are you asking if my wife would allow me to have another woman?
You would allow yourself to have another woman?
In as much as this series should be about openness, in as much as this series is about openness,
you have the
boundaries. First of all, fill that form. Because that question is there.
Oh, really? You see? I think that's why you want us to talk about communication. It gets down to it.
Yeah.
And then also we may not even know some days, and later we actually know. Some men may not know that they actually desire more than one woman, but maybe 10 years later they have that urge. When we have openness to discuss certain things, we take away the ambiguity. Unclear is unkind. So we start being unclear in our relationships. You want this, you're not getting it, but you're not communicating it. And now there's no sex where there ought to have been sex in relationships because of lack of communication or poor communication, right? I was telling you how the lady's husband was asking her, why do you have to dress up to go and be with other women? Even dressing up is now being controlled. Yeah. Now the information she'll pick from there, she can't bring it home because she picked information on how they can eat for their hormonal health. And then he went and brought all the information as to why that should never be something to consider in their relationship. So the skepticism, the pessimism, the rejection that women are experiencing when they bring information to men is affecting communication as well, right? So I wish men can just be receptive. And guess what? Men love this conversation more than, but they don't want to have it with their wives.
Or with their partners.
With their
lovers. With their girlfriends.
Yeah, they don't want to. They want to have these with other people.
That's what now you must, that is what you must explain.
Yeah.
Because you could ask yourself, why is this coming from the fact that men are not receptive to these conversations?
Yeah.
Is it in their DNA because of who a man is?
Yeah.
And is it because of culture?
Yeah.
Why is it that there are women going to salad socials and men hardly go to salad socials?
You mentioned it yourself. You said women are more hungry for information than men. So it's not coming from their DNA. It's coming from culture conditioning. It's coming from the religious conditioning. It's coming from family backgrounds. It's the values you were taught about sex and sexuality and sensuality. Aren't we all learning every other day? So if we are not curious enough to want to learn, we are going to be closed out. I know people who don't learn expose themselves to self-imposed ignorance.
Or maybe I'm just saying, as a man, I just need to be hard and then have that sex and have that orgasm and
No, but still we have cultural inclinations.
Yeah.
The fear of, remember, we've come from a generation where men would not, or women would not want doggy style, because it's connected to sexual, rather to spiritual or religious abominations. There were so many who would not do that. We still have now the same with blowjobs.
Is it true that doggy style is an abomination in the Bible?
Honestly, how can it's not? I don't think it's true, but there's some religions that have chosen to use the Bible, yes, to put boundaries around sex styles as well. There are cultures. I know a culture here, I will not mention it, but that sex has to be had in the dark, and there are some abominations.
No lights on.
No lights on. And there are some sex styles you cannot bring on. A man, a woman a woman has to be, below. She can't be on top because of the flow of energy or of the flow of, fluids and stuff like that. There's so many myths around what should and should not be. Or if a woman is on her menses, she cannot have sex in a particular sex position because of the flow of energy and, stuff like that. Yeah. So for me,
to me about sex and menses and something
came up. We're going to lose the conversation. I want to take you completely to communication so that we don't stray. May I? So you want to ask if it's okay? Yeah.
You're being a bit bully. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
But do you like it? Do you like bedroom bullies?
No, let's not stray. Yeah,
because that's communication. What do you like?
Bedroom bullies.
What are your fantasies?
Is that where we are going?
Yeah.
That's where we are straying to.
Yes. If you had to go home and talk to your wife, because this is the one part that we don't communicate about, and this is where we are going to. We have communicated about, I love sex, I like sex, I love your body, you're sexy, I find you amazing. That's what you've told her, right? You are attractive, you make me come, you turn me on, right? And she tells you, you satisfy me, you do this and that, and that's why it's ended, right? So she's expressed her needs. She said, you guys you've talked probably about how many times would you want to have sex in a day, or how many times would you want to have in a week, and maybe you have that. But what about fantasies? What about urges? Have we discussed them?
It was in that form.
So can you go and discuss that with your wife?
I may.
Yeah.
I am having my midlife crisis right now.
Exactly.
By the way, I'm in my life. Don't take it casually. I am.
Oh, because I'm 40, so I don't find that to be news.
You are in your midlife crisis?
No, I'm not in a crisis.
I'm telling you, I am.
So what's the crisis?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
Even sex conversation.
Yeah.
Is a crisis. I was telling. Somebody asked me why I started a podcast.
Yeah.
And I told them, because I started this podcast last year.
Oh, wow.
Yes, last year in April.
Interesting. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I talked with somebody and I told them that I'm really feeling I'm in a very serious crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It's a woman like you. What would you have done without women? And she told me that I feel like there is a big thing that you really wanted to do and you feel like you haven't achieved it. You're feeling very bad about it. And she asked me, so what is it that you really, really wanted to be and it slid through your fingers? And I told her that I really, really wanted to be a broadcast journalist. So she asked me, so to be on TV? I said, yes, I really wanted to be a broadcast journalism. And that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because, I am getting older. I'm 40 years now, going to 41. And I don't think I can start going to TV stations and handing in my CV.
Yeah.
Don't even have a CV for TV.
Yeah.
So she told me, what is it that you can do right now to come close to that? And I told her that the only thing that I think I can do and that will give me a lot of satisfaction is to have conversations with people on TV
Amazing. That's
And
a
then she
great
was
friend.
like, you're talking about a podcast,
Wow. That's a good friend.
you know?
She knows how to lead you with good questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is how I decided that I'm going to start a podcast,
Congratulations.
you know?
Yeah. And you did.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was talking about midlife crisis, and even right now,
Yeah.
the question, I still don't understand a lot about women, you know?
Yeah.
Because I interact a lot with them,
Okay.
you know? How do you talk to a woman, even if they're not your lover,
Yeah.
even if you're not pursuing them?
Yeah.
But how do you get, because, so for example, I was talking to a lady the other day about her marriage and how it went horribly wrong.
Okay.
And she kept telling me the things she was telling her husband.
Yeah.
And she wasn't listening.
And he wasn't listening here.
He wasn't listening at all. He would do things in the bedroom and he wouldn't listen. He got so mad at her that he wanted another child. She had only gotten she was having a young child which was 1 year old, and he wanted another child. You know, and she was telling me of how this guy would constantly insist on having sex with her every night.
Just so he can have a child.
You know,
Wasn't that an excuse for him to talk to her, to tell her that he wants sex every day?
probably. But you know, even right now, I'm feeling like when I'm talking with Onyango Tieno, who is my friend, I'm talking to Agak, who is my friend, I'm talking to this and this person. The way I interact with those men is so different when a woman comes into the picture.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even know how to start that conversation. I don't know what jokes to use, you know? It's important, and that's why I'm telling you that I'm in a midlife crisis. So probably even this series is just me trying to know things, you know?
I don't blame you.
And I am not in this series for you to talk to the world,
Yeah.
to talk to me too.
Oh, okay. So now we are going to start with a conversation.
I hope that you're enjoying this program. I just wanted to break this program to tell you that if you like the images that you're seeing, the video, the editing, we can do your corporate work, we can do your podcast, we can do your documentary, we can do anything, especially if you're building something and you want to showcase it, we can always do that. So we are going to be leaving our contact on the description of this video. Please check it out. So if you have a job and you like what you're seeing, the editing, the image quality, you know, contact us and we can do something amazing just like this for you. So thank you very much, and back to programming.
When you deal with your problem, you teach others, because your viewers are now you.
Yeah.
When you discover a problem about you, because when I was in broadcasting, that's how it used to occur to me as well. If I have a problem and I find solutions to my problem, then I know how to take care of other people's problems. And so our experiences and our needs and our urges and our challenges and our curiosity is actually what feeds us or helps us to take care of other people. So it's good that you start from there, or it's good that you actually build on from there, to be able to correct the things that you didn't correct, to ensure that your midlife is not a crisis. I think you're desiring to be able to enjoy the rest of your years now without qualms, without restrictions, but also within boundaries.
Yes.
Because you've talked about communication and boundaries, because we get it to there. This couple that you've talked about, they're definitely not having good communication, and it's unhealthy when couples can't communicate, when couples cannot sit to ask how many children do we want, when and how. That really destabilizes people. When couples can't sit to agree and say, I really have a sexual hunger. At the end of the day, I would like to be able to, make love to you. I crave sex and I crave you and I want to have you. And teaching the woman to be able to receive that as not too much, or as not wanting, as not using me, as not tiring me, because the reception is wrong. When people express their desires, because then we don't come in the middle. Because you could tell me, I really would love to have sex every day. We look at why men need to have sex every day, because for men that's a need, that's something that they want. Why? Because one, sex for a man is fuel. He needs that fuel to go and deal with the hurts and challenges of this world. When he has sex, the hormones that are released are like fuel for him to be able to go and handle. So he needs to come and get this fuel, right? Sex for a man is excitement. I mean, sex is the most thrilling adventure of all time, and a man's sexual body is like a pleasure machine that he wants to enjoy full throttle, right? And so for a man, just looking at sex, like body shapes, seeing his wife come out of the bathroom naked, a man being able to experiment with different sex styles, different rhythms, different things, that's part of the excitement. He just wants that because excitement is what makes him feel like he's using this sex machine that he has, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Men need sex as a way of expressing love, because men communicate through sex. Women connect with men. This is the communication imbalance we have, or problem. Women connect with men emotionally. For a woman to be able to connect with you, she needs emotional nourishment, right? And so the mind is very important for a man when he's connecting with a woman. Men connect with women first through physical sex, through physical intimacy, right? So physical intimacy, then emotional connection. So every time a man wants to have sex or to make love to his woman, he's trying to communicate love. He wants to connect, through which he will communicate so many things. Many times when a man wants to make love, he wants to communicate autonomy. He's not feeling validated. He's not feeling, like he's celebrated. Maybe he has certain needs. He's yearning for something else. Through that sex, you can tell what a man wants. Like when you were hungry for broadcasting, it probably came through your sexual hunger as well. Your need for sex was your want to be somewhere else, to gain that that presence, that greatness. You used to express it through sex. So when you were angry about it, that sex must have seemed hungry, or rather angry. When you were happy about it, that sex is, so women can tell what a man is communicating by the way he makes love to her. Now when we take away the frequency of sex, we kill the way men want to connect with us. But when we know that, then we receive it. Now what we've done is that we have bashed men for wanting sex too much. We have bashed them if he's spanking or he's touching, all you want is sex. We have bashed them for, you're always thinking with your body, because they think with their bodies first. When a man sees a woman, the first thing he gets to experience is an erection before he can think of what to do with it. So this communication goes here. And that's how they communicate. Why should we bash them for that? But then we are bashing them, we are shaming them for having urges, for feeling like that. Yet that's what they are, right? So communication breaks down. Because if a man is going to be told that you want sex too much, he's not going to express his urges, right? He's not going to feel good telling you, today I'm feeling this and that. Sex is like hunger for a man. You know how women crave chocolate? Yeah? Men crave sex. At the end of the day, he wants to feel he's doing this because at the end of the day, it's going to be dessert. Sex is like dessert for a man. He's thinking, is it going to be creamy, or is it going to be silky and velvety? Is it going to be, raw and bitterish? Is it going to be, like that's what they have. But then it's a craving, and they would want, like a certain satisfaction about it. And they want you to understand it like that. The way you crave chocolate, you're thinking of how buttery it's going to be in your mouth, or is it going to be silky, or is it going to be bittersweet? Is it going to be hard and rough? Is it, they look at it. So if it's not communicated, it's misunderstood, and then the receiving is wrong about it. Right? So they feel misunderstood. Oof.
Amazing. This has to continue in the next episode.
We'll talk about sex and boundaries.
Sex and boundaries in the next episode.
Communication, because there's a lot about communication that we don't get to.
About communication
Yeah.
All right. So, that is the end of our first episode. So people of the internet, thank you very much for tuning in to just the first episode of the Pleasure Principle. We have got a lot to unpack, and I can't unpack it alone without Dawryn. Dawryn, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For helping unpack the first episode. You've told us about who you are, how you're getting all these things that you know about. I've told you about the story of my village. You've told me about your 24-year-old story. And so it can only get better from this.
Now, okay, you will tell us about whether you're going to start the conversation about your urges with your wife. We'll start from there.
Good, I say.
I'm still waiting.
So, episode 2 is coming. Let's see what it holds. Okay, until another episode. Bye for now.